Hi, I'm Alex Newman with the New American, and today I want to talk to you about Planned Parenthood and the filth that they're producing with your tax dollars to fill the minds of little children with. Most recently, they put out a handbook, guidelines for how to talk to preschoolers about sex and gender and homosexuality and a whole bunch of other things. And in this thing, I mean, you could go through this for quite some time and talk about different aspects of it, but some of it would just blow a normal person's mind. For example, they tell you that you should teach the kids that not all boys have boy parts and not all girls have girl parts. In fact, having boy parts doesn't decide whether you're a boy, and having girl parts doesn't decide whether you're a girl. In fact, it's what you believe, what you think is what decides whether you're a boy or a girl. And remember, this is for preschoolers. We're talking for 4- and 5-year-old children. In fact, the American College of Pediatricians calls this child abuse, right? Trying to brainwash children into believing that they can imitate the opposite sex with hormones and mutilating their private parts. It's it's incredibly sad to see this happening, and it's unfortunately a trend that Planned Parenthood, using your tax dollars, has been pushing for quite some time now. Now, Planned Parenthood, in addition to filling children's minds with immorality and postmodernism and this idea that gender and sex are just subjective, whatever you believe, and that homosexuality is biological and immutable, so you might talk about logically inconsistent. But really, the Planned Parenthood actually specializes in murdering babies, particularly minority babies. In fact, Planned Parenthood was founded by a eugenicist who believed that it was the role of society to clean up the gene pool, right? She wanted to get human weeds out of the gene pool. So she would go speak to the Ku Klux Klan about why we should be practicing eugenics to get black people out of the gene pool and others whom she considered to be inferior. Now, this is the kind of disgusting pseudoscience that underpinned the foundation of Planned Parenthood. Now, to her credit, Margaret Sanger thought abortion, murdering babies, was wrong. She went about her eugenics program in other ways. But today, this organization gets about $500 million every year from the federal government to butcher babies, to fill children's minds with horrors and insanity, and they also use a lot of, and of course they get a lot more money from state governments, from local governments, and of course from the big billionaires, the George Soroses of the world. And then a lot of this money that they get from taxpayers, they actually recycle back into the political process. So the Democrats ensure that they get lots of tax money, and some Republicans, who of course don't brag about that when they're on the campaign trail. But so the politicians ensure that Planned Parenthood gets lots of tax money, and then Planned Parenthood turns that money around and pushes it right back into the campaign coffers of pro-abortion politicians. Now, if you think that sounds really crazy, good, that is really crazy, right? That is not how our political system is supposed to operate. They also use a lot of these tax dollars to sue states and municipalities that try to impose even the most minor, the most trivial limitations and regulations on the mass murder of children perpetrated by Planned Parenthood. Or when a state, for example, says we don't want to fund Planned Parenthood anymore with tax money, Planned Parenthood will sue them using tax money. And of course, they'll say, oh, well, we don't kill babies with tax money. We use other money to kill babies. Well, money's fungible. Any tax dollar that they spend promoting propaganda for school children is an extra tax dollar that they can use from another source to murder babies with. So really, this is just a shell game. This is just a charade. And unfortunately, the Republicans, despite all the bluster, despite having control of both houses of Congress, the White House, and state legislatures all across the country, Planned Parenthood continues to be enriched to devour your tax dollars. Now, going back to the guidelines for talking to your children, they say other crazy things too, like don't suggest to your daughter that she might have boyfriends and marry a man one day, right? Because that implies that that's normal, that that's what's expected of her, right? That she should marry a man, or that your son should marry a woman. And that's normal. That's not normal. They say that might even give them mental health problems. So basically, they're saying that you should assume that your child may grow up to be a homosexual or confused about their gender. They call it transgender, or any of these different things, and that you should treat them that way growing up. Now, we can be 100% sure that this is going to have negative consequences on children. In Sweden, there was a news report not long ago, one of the lead government psychiatrists let it leak that the number of quote-unquote transgender children was doubling every year as this propaganda increasingly gets pushed through the government schools, through the government media, and all the rest of it. So this is having a terrible effect on children. It's teaching them that truth is relative or it doesn't even exist, right? So there's so much wrong with this, and the simplest solution is to cut Planned Parenthood off from the dole. No more tax money for butchering babies. No more tax money for selling baby parts, right? We all saw the video of the Planned Parenthood boss who wanted to sell more baby brains so she could buy herself a Lamborghini, right? I mean, if that doesn't give you goosebumps, you need to go check yourself out. Something is really, really wrong with this. We have become a sick society, and we need to turn this around. And cutting off the fund of tax dollars to Planned Parenthood would be a very good place to start.